up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are having a good day. Okay, so we are here to talk about Insecure. This is season 4, episode, I think it's episode 9. No, episode 8. Alright, so before we started, I just want to say that this episode was my favorite episode thus far. It was my favorite episode of the series. Not the season, but the series. It was a very beautiful episode. It was shot well. It was written well. Shout out to Natasha Rothwell. She wrote this episode. It was the best thing to happen all weekend, because this weekend has been just chaos and riots and protesting and all that stuff, and I had to unplug from social media because it was too much for me when it comes to my anxiety and depression. It was just too much, and I had to unplug, but I had to watch Insecure because I needed at least 30 minutes of just normalcy. So this episode was low-key happy. Okay, y'all, so we see Lawrence. Lawrence is at a bar. He's sitting at the bar waiting on somebody. We know last episode when we saw him at the airport, he made a call to meet for drinks and he was on the phone with someone. So we don't know exactly who he's on the phone with, but I think I know. I'll figure it out later. But anyways, he's at the bar waiting for his mystery date. We all know it's Issa if you saw the previews from last week. He's waiting for Issa to come and he's checking his breath, make sure it's not tart, all that shit, as people do when they're, you know, about to meet somebody else. And we see Issa walk in. He smiles, she smiles, and Lisa falls flat on her face. You know, Issa's awkward. Issa is me and I am Issa, okay? I am clumsy as hell. From the ages of, what, 7 to 21, I always walked into one specific wall in my house back in St. Thomas, my mom's bedroom wall. I always walked into this wall. I don't know why, my coordination. Anyways, but Issa fell flat on her face. Everybody in the bar was like, oh my God, are you okay? Damn, bitch, she fell. And Issa, being the person that she is still on the floor because she don't want to get up because she is embarrassed. I would have jumped my happy ass up and walked out of that damn place because embarrassment I don't do. But Issa stayed on the floor even though Lawrence came over and said, you okay? You need help? She was like, no, I'm good. Finally gets up, sits at the bar with Lawrence. The pleasantries, they start talking about, you know, how was the block party? He couldn't make it. He said that he was in San Francisco because he was interviewing for jobs. She was surprised by that because, you know, she didn't know that he was thinking about venturing out of, you know, LA. He said that, you know, he wanted to see what was out there and, you know, he took some meetings and hopefully something comes about it. So Issa brought up the fact that him and Tahylor broke up. He said, yeah, you know, don't really want to discuss it, but, you know, we don't have to talk about that. He did mention that he saw Molly at the airport. And Issa said, well, me and Molly don't fuck with each other no more. We're not friends. He thought it was a joke initially. He thought it was a joke. He laughed. And then Issa said, no, we're not friends. We don't speak at all. So he was very, like, perplexed by it. But, you know, they're sitting there having conversation. She's wanting to know what is it that he needs to talk to her about. He ordered her a drink, which was no longer her drink of choice. He ordered Prosecco and whiskey or something. I don't know what Prosecco is. I don't know what any of that is. I'm not that fancy. I don't know. But she now drinks a Prosecco and vodka. So she said, you know, I have elevated. I've grown. I don't do those things anymore. I have changed. So they're talking and he's kind of hesitant to tell her what he needs to talk to her about. They're trying to have this conversation and then there's noise all over the place. There's people interrupting and coming in between them, coming to the bar. And they decide to leave that restaurant and go somewhere else a little more quieter so they can have a conversation. So they go ahead and grab an Uber. Lawrence gets an Uber Lux, Uber Black, okay, because he got the coin like that. And Issa was very impressed because the Lawrence that she was with was always fucking broke. So they get into the Uber and the Uber driver is a talkative older woman and black woman. And she is just talking their heads off. And Issa is truly annoyed. But Lawrence is, you know, he's going with the flow. And the lady asked them, is this their first date? And Lawrence said, no, this is not. So the lady was like, oh, you guys are married? You know, marriage was the best thing that ever happened to me. You need to lock it down. And Lawrence said, well, I did buy a ring, but, and Issa kind of looked at him like, nigga, what are you talking about? So at the light, the lady stops, turning around with her phone, with her camera, and said, nigga, if you're going to propose, propose. Something to that effect. So they get to this restaurant. This is the restaurant that Issa talked about going to this restaurant when they were together, but they never got there. Once they got there, Issa told him, you know, I've been to this restaurant many times. Like, I only came here because I didn't want to disappoint you. So they sat down, they started talking, and Lawrence is going over the menu, you know, very indecisive, don't know what he wants. Issa's a pro at it. Issa went ahead and ordered for the whole table. She ordered his drinks, she ordered food, she ordered steak, she ordered all kinds of stuff. I like that because it showed Issa taking charge, which Issa normally doesn't do, and I found that to be very interesting. Issa has grown so much, and I love it. They're sitting there, and Issa was like, so what do you want to talk to me about? Because he keeps kind of like putting it off. So he asked her, he was thinking about what would happen if they were still together. What would have happened? And Issa immediately got uncomfortable because she actually did not know that this was the conversation. So he wanted to know, why Daniel? Why was it Daniel? Was it anybody, or was it just specifically him? And Issa was like, no, it wasn't just anybody. It was specifically him because he was giving me the attention that I was lacking from you. You were not communicating. You weren't really talking to me. We weren't having sex. Basically, they were living in a miserable relationship. She was not happy because she wasn't getting the attention that she thought she deserved with her man. And here it is, Daniel, who was her friend, was giving her this attention that she so lacked, and she ended up doing something that she regretted doing. And he said that, you know, he was actually dealing with depression because here he was, college graduate, not working. His girlfriend is working. She's leaving the house every day to go to work, and he's just sitting on the couch. He didn't know what to do. It was a point where he thought about moving back home, but he didn't want to move back home because sometimes we feel like if things don't work out and we have to go back home, we failed. And he said that would have made him feel worse for him to go back home. He said that he knew that he wasn't doing all that he could do, and when he found that she cheated, it was easier to blame her than himself. And he realized that he didn't really try hard enough and he gave up too easy. You know, Issa said that, you know, I wanted to be with you. You were the person I wanted to be with, and I took our breakup hard, but you didn't want me. And you showed me that you didn't want me. So that was really deep that they had this conversation. And I loved this scene so much because in a crowded restaurant with noise in the background, once they started having this conversation, you didn't hear anything else. It was just Issa and Lawrence talking to each other. You didn't hear the music in the background, the other patrons in the restaurant. You didn't hear glass clinking. You didn't hear any of that. You heard Issa and Lawrence having this conversation that was needed for a long time. They're sitting there talking to each other, and it's like they're the only two people in the world. So I love that. So Issa said, you know, did you really buy a ring? And Lawrence said, I mean, we were looking at rings. Why didn't you think that I would have gotten a ring? And I think Issa realized that she messed up big time, and she could have been a married woman by now, but everything happens for a reason, and you know, it just had to happen that way. So Issa gets up to go to the restroom, and Lawrence gets a text, and he gets a text from Condola. Basically, him and Condola was supposed to meet up on Tuesday night, and she wanted to meet up that night while he was out with Issa. So he told her that, you know, he's out right now, he'll hit her up once he's done. I got pissed off at that because I'm like, first of all, you and Condola broke up. Now all of a sudden, you texting Condola talking about meeting up the same fucking night you with Issa. Like, that pissed me the fuck off. And I like Lawrence, but I think Lawrence makes stupid decisions. But, you know, that's another story for another time. So, they walk out the restaurant. Everything is cool. And then you hear, and you see TSA Bay. TSA Bay is with this young lady. She's on her phone. She ain't really paying no mind. And Issa is trying to ignore this dude, but you know how he is. He is very friendly and open and all that stuff. So he hugs Issa. Issa's uncomfortable. And Lawrence was like, yeah, so, yeah, how you know Issa? And TSA Bay said, oh, I used to hit that. Something like that. I used to hit that. He said something like that. And Issa was very embarrassed. His date, Mazda was like, and then she went back to texting. And, you know, he was talking about, he was just basically plugging himself. You know, I work for TSA, but I do security on the side if you have a party or whatever. And Lawrence was loving it because it was funny. I guess it was funny because he didn't expect to run into one of Issa's ex-boos. And the fact that, you know, TSA Babe was so forthcoming with information. I don't know. He found it funny. I found it funny. Some people felt very offended that TSA Bay did that, but I mean, ain't that fucking serious. But anyways, so but TSA Bay did say that, you know, the art walk was going on right now. They were going to go there after they left the restaurant. So Issa asked Lawrence, you know, when was the last time you've been to the art walk? And he said, yeah, it's been a minute. So Issa was trying to imply, you know, let's go to the art walk. And Lawrence was like, well, tell me how it is. I'll hit you up later. I gotta go. Kissed her and walked away. Now, I was like, wait, hold on. He didn't really get upset about that, but he was joking. He started doing that blah, blah, blah thing. Issa got, like, annoyed, but it was so cute. So they go to the art walk, and honestly, y'all, the reason why I love this particular scene with them is because you see Issa and Lawrence, the couple. Okay, when we got introduced to Issa and Lawrence, first episode, first season of Insecure, it was more towards the end of their relationship. Issa was unhappy, Lawrence was unhappy. We didn't see the beauty of their relationship. In this very scene, you see the beauty of Issa and Lawrence. You saw when you saw them at their best peaks, I guess. And I love that they were going through talking. It just, you know how they do that movie title game thing that they do? They were doing that. It was so cute. At this moment, I love them together, even though I didn't want Issa to be with Lawrence, but I love them together. But so they're walking, they're talking, and Issa said, you know, she's really getting to her happy, and she's finally finding a happy space. And Lawrence is feeling the same way. He said he's finally, you know, being happy, and he said that he loves working in teams. He, you know, doing his own shit. He always felt like he was always told that he always had to have his own, but he likes helping people execute their vision. And I think the fact that he said that really shows that as Black people, we are taught to have our own, because it's always best to have generational wealth in the Black community, and we're always taught to start your own business and do this and do that so we don't have to work for somebody else. And Lawrence basically said, you know, I was taught that I had to have my own, but I really don't. I really enjoy working for other people. So that was a very good comment that he made. So they're, you know, they're walking, they're talking, and then he gets a text from call or text from Condola. Issa sees it and said, do you need to get that? And he was like, no. So he basically said, well, you know, him and Condola are talking. They're trying to figure it out, whatever they're going to do. So Issa obviously is like kind of like hurt by that, because everything was going so well, and then now she finds out Condola is still kind of in the picture. So they're, you know, they're having a good time talking and stuff like that. They look at art. He bought something for his house, and they decide to catch an Uber back to drop him off and then drop her off. And she finds out that they live not too far from each other now, so they're basically neighbors. So they get into the Uber, pull up to Lawrence's place, and he basically invites her up because he wanted to basically show off his spot. So he invites her up. When he invited her up, I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. these two gonna do something that they probably don't need to be doing. So they go upstairs, and Issa is very impressed by his apartment. She thought it was gonna be just like a nigga pad, whatever the case may be, but it was very grown, sophisticated. So she asked him if she could use the restroom. So she goes to the restroom, and he goes outside to call Condola. And I got pissed off again, because I'm like, yo, I'm getting sick of this. So he goes outside to call Condola, and Condola is very adamant about seeing him tonight. And when he was talking to her, and I noticed this, when he was talking to her, the look on his face changed, more of a concern. And I was like, God, don't tell me this. I'm going to talk about that later. I'm going to talk about that later. So he goes back into the apartment. He said that he's finishing up. He's going to come over tonight. Goes back into the apartment, and Issa heard him on the phone. So Issa is visibly like hurt by it, and you know, she decided to go. He said that he said that he was on the phone, and then she said with Condola, and he said, yeah, we're supposed to meet up to talk tonight. And she was visibly hurt. She said, oh, okay. And she, you know, decided to leave. The Uber was still outside waiting for her, and she got to the door, and she stopped. And she turned around, and she said, what if I don't want to leave? And I was like, oh shit, okay. Alright, Issa. Okay, okay. What if I don't want to leave? And he was like, I don't know. And she basically said, you know, you make me happy. And he said, you make me happy too. And he told her to stay. And they started kissing, and they went into the bedroom, and throughout this entire show, we have seen sex upon fucking upon sex upon fucking. This episode, this scene, you saw Issa and Lawrence make love. This is the first time we've actually seen them do this. They made love, and it was beautiful. And I don't know how Issa Rae do this, because it looked like she be fucking these people for real. I don't know what she got going on. I don't know how they do this. I couldn't do this shit, but they made love. And it was a beautiful sight to see. The next morning, she wakes up. He wakes up. They roll over and start talking. And he started talking about, she said, well, so San Francisco. He said, yeah, you gonna miss me? Nah, I ain't gonna miss you. So they had that kind of banter, but it was kind of a little still uncomfortable. So Issa got up, and she started putting on her clothes. And he was like, you want me to drive you home? And she said, no, I'll walk. You know, I'm not far. And she said, all right, I'll see you later. And she walked out the house and did her walk. Issa walked, okay? Like she just got some fresh dick walk. She got some fresh dick walk, walked home, and that was the end of the episode. Now, my thoughts. All right, so what I feel was when Lawrence left the airport, I don't think he called Issa. I think that call was Condola. I think him and Condola probably reconciled or started talking again while he was on his trip. So when he called the person at the airport, it was not a call of, I don't think he would have spoke to Issa in that way, because him and Issa still have this uncomfortableness around each other at that time. I think he called Condola because the conversation was a little more, I've been thinking about you. When can I see you? That kind of conversation. And I think I do think it was Condola. I think he did, him and Condola started talking again at that point, and he called her. And he probably called Issa after to, I guess to clean the slate with them before him and Condola started fresh. That's my opinion. I think the conversation that they had was much needed. I think that this was a long time coming. I thought it was a beautiful way for exes to sit down and just hash out whatever issues that they had. You really saw that they both had grown and mature, and I actually kind of like them together. Like, I really love their back and forth. I love their familiarity with each other. I thought it was beautiful. And it was shot beautifully too. It was beautiful. I think, now this is what I was going to say. I noticed that Condola was calling Lawrence a lot, texting him a lot, wanting to meet up with him that night. And then when he went outside and called her, he had a look of concern on his face. Y'all, I am going to lean that Condola is pregnant. and that might shock some of y'all, because I saw some people say this also, and I didn't believe it at first. But by the fact that she was blowing up his phone, wanting to meet him that night to talk, and the fact that he had this look of concern when he called her, I don't know, she said, you know, there's something serious I need to talk to you about, and then he got a little concerned about it. I don't know, but I would not be surprised if Condolences is pregnant. I would not be surprised at all. That would throw a wrench in him and Issa possibly even rekindling anything. I wouldn't be surprised. Wouldn't be surprised whatsoever. I'll be fucking pissed, but I wouldn't be surprised. As far as Issa and Lawrence, I thought it was beautiful. I think that Issa still loves him. I think he still loves Issa. I think that them getting back together, though, I don't know if that is the best thing for them. You know, sometimes exes get back together and it's a beautiful situation once you have gone through your growing pains and all that stuff. It could possibly be that. But to me, when it came to Issa, that scene when she just, you know, got up, put on her clothes, and left, it felt like a closure to her. To me, it felt like she had closure. It was closure that she wanted, because she still hadn't gotten closure from this relationship. I think this was closure for her, but it was an open-ended closure. Like, it's closure, but you never know. Maybe down the line, things can reactivate between Lawrence and her, and you never know. You never know. I don't know. I just thought it was a beautiful episode. I loved it so much. Watched it 3 times. I thought it was so dope. Let me know what you thought about this episode. What do you think is going to happen on the next episode? There's 2 more episodes left. Next episode is the Molly and Issa episode where they finally sit down and talk. What do you think is going to happen? I do not think they're going to resolve their friendship, their issues this season. I don't think so. I don't think they're going to get back friends just like that. I don't think so. I think that they are going to agree to disagree and quit being friends for right now. So I think that is the best thing, because Molly and Issa, their relationship is toxic, in my opinion. But what do you think? How do you think this season is going to end? I don't know. I don't know if it's Issa having to choose between Nathan and Lawrence, which I don't think she will choose any of them. I think she'll choose herself. What do you think? Do you think Condolences is pregnant? I don't know. It's gonna be a lot. It's gonna be crazy. I cannot wait. This is a great show. My energy ain't up. I got a headache, and I'm just still kind of somber. But whatever, y'all. We just gonna press on. That's all we gotta do. Press on. But anyway, let me know what you thought about this episode. Do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will talk to you guys in my next video.